Now, South Africa is commemorating Youth Month, an event that came out of the Soweto uprising in 1976 of June 16. On this day, black school pupils protested in the streets of Soweto in response to the introduction of Afrikaans as the medium of instruction in black schools. Today, the youth of South Africa is facing issues of unemployment, access to quality education, gender-based violence and substance abuse. What are the solutions? Let's bring in Cultural and Creative Industries Federation of South Africa's Secretary General, Ayanda Roda, who will be joining us shortly, as well as from the South African Youth Council, Benedict Mphukhe. Good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. I suppose there are many conversations relating to Youth Month that are relevant to the youth of 2022, as opposed to perhaps fighting a different cause to those of 1976. The unemployment issue is one that dominated as we commemorated June 16. What are your feelings around it?
Hello. I thought Ayanda would go first. Is Ayanda still with us?
Benedict, let me just start with you. Just really looking at the issues of young people in South Africa, with unemployment being thrust to the forefront when it comes to the pressing matters that young people in South Africa say need to be, that jobs need to be created and opportunities need to be created. They feel that not much is being done to help them better their lives. What are your thoughts around that?
All right. No, first and foremost, we appreciate the opportunity that we're given to speak about issues that involve young people. I think it would be prudent for us to quickly take this opportunity to wish former President Thabo Mbeki a happy birthday. We wish him well. Look, getting back on the subject or the topic of the evening, I mean, I think we must agree that our government at all levels seems to have lost a sense of what this historic month should mean to young people. The celebrations that we keep seeing year in, year out, annually, no longer have that sense of honoring the sacrifices made by the class of 1996. What we continue to see on an annual basis is just a festival of an opportunity for looting and lining of pockets in the name of revolution. I mean, we can all agree that the class of 1996 has achieved its generational mission. That is not in question or doubt. Now, as a society, and particularly young people, we need to draw lessons from the class of 1976. And one of the lessons that stands out the most for us as the council is that for any sensible change to happen, young people themselves must be able to take a stand and effect that particular change. Now, in the political context, we know that June 16 remains a symbolic and significant activity that is commemorated nationally. On June 16, you will have different political stalwarts ascending podiums, speaking or narrating their stories around the particular day. But to be honest, what we are hearing, the message and the narrative has to change, because what we are hearing on a daily basis is that these particular events do not speak to the ordinary young persons, do not speak to young people that are unemployed, do not speak to the high numbers of qualified unemployed graduates that we have. Because we've come to, as a country, we've come to a state where we seem to have normalized using the terms unemployed graduates as if it's normal. It cannot be normal that up 28 years later, we have young people that are still unable to find employment. It cannot be correct. And what are we celebrating as a country on June 16 or during Youth Month? Young people do not have any reasons to celebrate, because one, these speeches do not include meaningful projects or meaningful solutions towards addressing the high unemployment rates that we have.
So in terms of taking the conversation forward and also addressing youth concerns in the context of 2022, where do you think the loopholes lie when it comes to jobs, the creation of jobs, and perhaps the red tape for those who may want to start their own businesses?
Absolutely. I think we need to be clear about one thing, that as young people of this country, we are tired of lip service by our leaders. By lip service, I mean they keep on making speeches, making commitments to resolve issues of young people. There are commitments that are made to support young people in terms of business. Young people, we want to be part of the solutions. But of course, we have challenges in terms of the red tape that exists across the board nationally. To even access, when you have young people that are able to that have business interest and an interest in terms of getting into creating new industries. Mm-hmm. We have a challenge even at municipal level, where you find that our municipalities are so quick to offer land to churches. But when a young person wants land for business purposes, they have to jump through a lot of hoops. And unless we speak to that, unless we address that, municipalities themselves also have got a role to play in terms of addressing unemployment and realizing that we need to tap into the talent that exists and opportunities that exist and the business interests that young people have. We can be part of the solution to the unemployment crisis.
And where do you think, in terms of industries, some of the biggest attention should be focused on? Because we're hearing more and more that the jobs of today are definitely not the jobs of the future.
I agree fully with you. The theme for this year around Youth Month it reads promoting sustainable livelihoods and resilience of young people for a better tomorrow. Now, these are the kind of rhetoric that we keep hearing year in, year out. I'm also taking note of the industries that are thrown around. We are looking into moving young people towards 4IR to say, how do we then tap into the opportunities presented by the fourth industrial revolution? But one of the concerns for us that we also need to interrogate is whether we are in a position, our institutions of higher learning are in a position to produce this kind of skills and expertise that is required in order for us as a country to fully maximize and tap into the opportunities presented by fourth industrial revolution. And the truth of the matter is that as a country, we are not ready for fourth industrial revolution. Why am I saying that? I'm saying so because our institutions of higher learning keep on producing graduates that end up being unemployed. Now, if we are unable to find space, if our graduates are unable to find expression or space with their current with their current qualifications, what more of 4IR? And we know for a fact that 4IR also poses some, unless it's dealt with and implemented correctly, it also poses a threat in terms of job security in the country. For instance, you know that in the wholesale and retail industry, you have the industries venturing or considering automation, like looking into replacing human tellers with automated teller machines. Now, the bulk of young people are able to find some form of employment within that retail space. Now, any automation in that regard threatens job
Perhaps, Benedict, let me just move to Ayanda Roda quickly, cultural activist who's also joining us on the line. Ayanda, good evening to you. We are speaking about the importance of really taking stock of the jobs of the future as young people in order to better their lives and improve conditions and also create more jobs. Perhaps very quickly getting your take.
From the cultural creative sector perspective, I would say, because we are creative industry, we always have creative ways of creating jobs among ourselves. What we have always been lacking is to get a proper platform to do that, and also a necessary support from the government. And a lot of people are misunderstanding the creative sector when we are saying we need necessary support from government. We are not necessarily speaking about getting only funding from them. We're also speaking about creating policies that will be able to sustain ourselves, that will be able to patent our IP, which is our intellectual property, to make sure those intellectual property are able to sustain us beyond 50 years, even if after we have created them. So that's the support that we're actually asking for a government to say, give us a platform, give us a way of creating jobs for ourselves, because we are creative. There's nothing that is more when technology is involved, it becomes much easier for us as the creative sector.
Very well. We're going to have to leave it there for now. Let me thank you both, Ayanda Roda, a cultural activist, as well as Benedict Mphukhe, the national spokesperson of the South African Youth Council, speaking to the challenges of young people today, of course, as we commemorated June 16 of 1976.